Right, hi, I am Mark from 11 Media.
I am Lane, and I'm not sure where I am. No, I'm joking. 11 Media.
I was going to say, you're at my house, it's fine. Right, this time we're going to bring you a text-sided writing, but we're going to do something a bit different. Something we both agreed that we would have loved when we were first getting started in this murky business that is publishing.
Or even 6 months in, or 6 months ago, or
Oh,
today.
now,
It would be
yeah.
nice to have.
Right, specifically, we are going to give you guys kind of our list of steps, as it were, to getting from an idea for a novel all the way up to
Bookshelves.
Internet
bookshelves.
Internet bookshelves. I was going to say, we'd love to be able to get you straight into a publishing house, but we haven't managed that step ourselves yet.
Yeah,
so.
we're not Superman.
But right, so we are going to begin right from the beginning with the ideas.
Okay, so coming up with an idea. How do you come up with an idea for a book? I mean, you could just walk around town and look for stuff until you see something. That's a horrible idea. Don't do it.
No, don't.
Because
do that.
coming up with ideas based on what you can see going on around town is terrible. You've got no context. You've got nothing to build it on. A lot of people say they just write books based on something they see. That's very difficult to do. Be honest, an idea takes a little bit of time to form. Come up with a setting and a character that you want to write with, the type of person you want to write with, the type of place you want to be writing. Don't just, I like how that looks, I'm going to write a story based on it. Because you have nowhere to go from there. You've got nothing, no direction leading you to the middle and the end of the book.
For example, recently I came up with just like literally, I think this was a today idea of some kind of supernatural orphanage, as it were. You know, kids with powers get born with these powers and sent there. Now, this was very much, literally, I had the idea of this really interesting sounding character, and I was like, right, I have an idea. No idea what's going to happen around this character. But once you have that single spark, you have to start asking yourself questions. So, I have this character. Okay, I want her working in an orphanage. So, presumably, I'm going to need children in this orphanage. It kind of makes sense. So, start asking yourselves these kind of questions. So, right. From there, I said, right, why are the children sent there? Okay, maybe they have powers from birth. And suddenly, you know, this whole kind of story develops where, you know, children are born with, I don't know, incredible inhuman strength and start, oh God, the terrible twos. Oh God,
Yeah.
the terrible twos with super strength, yeah. Honestly, just chucking daddy out the window for not giving you food.
Chewing on mummy's like
No,
leg.
yeah, we are not going quite that gory. You've had your horror moment, no more horror.
Aww. I
Aw.
wanted to watch Chucky or something.
No. But my point is, God, what was my point? Once you have that one spark of idea, ask yourself questions about it. That would be my advice. You know, you have a character. Where does she live? What does she do? You know, and once you have, you know, these few answered questions, then you can ask yourself questions about the answers. So, right, she lives here. Why does she live here?
And as well as that, ask your friends questions about your books. We have each other and other people to bounce back and forth from. Ask people if they give a fuck what's going on with your character, because there's a good chance that the first 3 or 4 ideas you come up with, nobody actually cares what that character is doing. Make sure you do a lot of research before you decide to do 15 drafts of a novel that nobody wants to read.
Exactly. So brainstorm with other people. You know, this is a brilliant stage for relatives, especially relatives that read in your genre. So in my case, it was kind of supernatural science fiction. So immediately I went to my partner and to Lane and to... Yeah, exactly. And to a few other people, and I said, right, this is my idea. And they're like, okay. And they start asking me the same questions that I had begun to ask myself, but more of them.
And usually with suggestions thrown in, which
Exactly.
help to build on the world you're trying to create.
Exactly.
One person by themselves is going to have trouble building an entire universe. That's why writers have researchers and like people they go to advice, editors.
Exactly. So
I'm missing words out of my sentence. I'm very sorry.
So find your spark, start asking yourself questions, and then once you've got an idea of what you want, bring it to other people, get them to ask you questions, ask them questions, get suggestions, and before you know, you will have, you know, at the very least, an idea of where you're going. So in my case, you know, I went from having this cool character who didn't live anywhere, didn't do anything, and as far as I was aware, it didn't exist, to, you know, owner of an orphanage, carer of abandoned children with powers, and she also has a side job, suggested by Lane, going out into the city and arresting Jack the Ripper-esque criminals.
Hiya! Sound effects.
Sound effects. Yeah, that was me kung fuing the words. So it's still an idea in progress, but it is an idea to begin with, and it's not a bad one. I quite like it. I might go with it.
I think so. Yeah.
Cool. Right. So ideas we have. So we have this brilliant new idea. Where would we go from here? Where would you go from here?
Oh, on this subject, going from the idea. Now, if you're a writer who claims to have writer's block, for example, stop writing. Don't write ever again, because writing is a job like any other job. You don't get chef's block when you're in a kitchen. You don't stop knowing how to cook food.
Well,
you got a story. Well, you've got a story. You know how to write a book. Write it. If you can't write it, stop writing. But taking it from there, if you have the motivation to do so, then from the idea, I would start brainstorming. I'd start coming up with potential side scenes, because filler scenes are very important for building on the character development, and main scenes with the action, the dialogue, the internalization of what's going on around the character. Once you've got ideas for what you can write where, start putting them into paragraphs, your ideas. Start expanding upon each of them. That's what I would do.
There we go. So that actually leads quite nicely into the next point, which I would say is brainstorming for the first draft.
Yeah, actually, that's a good shout.
Yeah, so before you jump into the first draft, I definitely say brainstorm.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean, like paragraphs expanded of your ideas, but not like extracts of the book. Don't do that, not straight away.
Yeah, so for example, I will continue with the idea I've been talking about. Instantly, instead of a traditional superhero, like New York 20th century setting, I love the idea of putting it in old Victorian times. However, when I talk about old Victorian times, mostly I think of top hats and monocles and pocket watches.
And no rights for women or black people. I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I know you're not wrong, but my point being that I'm going to have to do a lot of research to flesh out this idea, to make sure that I'm not basically just doing a really cliched, terribly...
Yeah, and also being careful with the time period. You might accidentally turn it into what the X-Men already is, a metaphor for gay and lady rights. Sorry, that wasn't correct.
I don't know, as a theme, actually, I don't think I've mind it. But anyway, that's besides the point we're making. So yeah, once you have your idea, research it. You will find yourself doing all manner of odd research.
And yes, when you get to that dodgy part of YouTube at 3 a.m, you're meant to be there.
Yeah, unfortunately you are. I'm pretty certain I have at times found Lane researching the habits of serial killers.
Yeah, I do that up until about 4 or 5 a.m. 2-3 nights a week at the moment.
Honestly, the fact that it's for a thriller story does reassure me slightly.
Story is a bit of a...
Yeah.
Anyway,
so those are our first two stages. Idea, question the idea, research the idea. Right, I'd say that gives us quite a good idea.
Yes, that is quite a nice idea.
Right, from there, you have to step into the murky world of writing your first draft.
Don't worry, the grammar doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah, trust me on this. My grammar is never perfect in the first or second or third.
But don't trust me on this, because my grammar has been flawless since I was about 8 years old.
Oh, dear me. I wish I could call you arrogant, but I'm not. You're not wrong. Anyway, right, we're getting sidetracked again. Stop it. Right, I've forgotten where we're going. Right, if you're going to write a first draft, there are two ways of going about it. Now, you can either go straight off the hip and with your research start writing.
And there are two ways of doing that, actually.
Oh.
Some people chronologically write the book from start to finish. Stephen King said, a good story is just written, sat down. I don't believe that, but a good story can be written just sat down and being typed out. That's very good writing. But, sorry, I lost my point. I was saying...
two ways of doing off-the-cuff writing.
Thank you. But the other way some people do it is they choose not to do it chronologically. For example, they'll do the main points at the beginning, middle, and end. Then they'll add the filler scenes. Then they'll kind of link everything together with paragraphs and chapter titles here and there. Horrible way to do it, but some people it works for. So.
Yeah. I was going to say, you might have a scene that you just can't get out of your head and it's blocking out all the others. So write that one first. Get it out of the way.
Yeah, fair dues. It'll be more intense.
Yeah. So, and the other way of doing it is planning it out. Now, this can vary in severity and how much detail you want to go into.
Yeah, I know somebody who has, like, everything from hair colour and eye colour for each character, like, shoe size, everything that might possibly come up in a story. And I also know friends that don't even know who the characters are yet.
was going to say, yeah, that's me, pretty much.
And me.
So you can do as much or as little planning as you want, and you can go entirely off the cuff. If you are going to plan, I'd recommend probably the most important thing for me when I'm planning out is the goal of my main character. In fact, I will emphasize the main character in this being the point of view character, not necessarily point of view character actually, but the character you want to accomplish some kind of goal. That is how I define my main character. So let's pick an example. So Harry Potter. Everybody's read Harry Potter. What is his goal in the first book? I don't know, I haven't read it in a while actually.
I don't know, to not be abused by his foster parents.
Yeah.
Or to
this might be
befriend a ginger kid. I'm not
this
sure.
might have been a bad example.
Yeah.
Okay, right, let's try a different example.
He was 11. He didn't have a
Yeah.
lot of goals.
Okay, so Star Wars, it is defeating the Empire.
Again, actually,
No, okay,
not
that's-
that many goals. They just wrote that whole thing on the fly.
Oh, God, they did, didn't they? Okay,
There
right.
were no like foreshadowed goals through the series.
Oh, dear me. Okay, right, Dresden Files. We'll go with an old favourite.
Fucking yeah.
Proven Guilty, the book we have recently reviewed. The goal is stop the monsters, rescue Molly. These are good goals, and as a result, that makes Harry the main character because he's the one pursuing these goals.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're going to plan out your novel, choose your main character, give him or her some depth, and then make a goal for them. So, it could be romance, it could be finding love. Aww. In a horror story, it could be simple survival. In a fantasy story, you could have to rescue some kind of arcane relic. Or...
In a comedy, it could be attempting to kill everybody in the room. I write very interesting comedies.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, my point is, if you're going to plan, at the very least, you should have a goal for your character. This is something for them to pursue. It will keep your story driving forward when you're writing it. If you want to go into more depth, you can break your story down into chapters, maybe. Sections. One of my personal favourites, I like to break it down into the main character's storyline. The main storyline of the book... So these two can be separate. So, for example, to take our Dresden Files one, Harry's storyline is the temptation of his power, dealing with his anger, whereas the main storyline is definitely rescuing the girl from the evil fairies.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So that would be a good place. So again, you can literally. I found places online, and actually, I might link a few of them, where you can go into like as many as 56 different like plot points and kind of, you know, have your story completely mapped. Personally speaking, I would go for, if you want to plan, I would go for a little bit, you know, kind of have a rough idea where you're going.
Yeah, some like points for how each chapter is going to start
Yeah.
and end, because that gives you a goal for when to be like, right, stop writing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just keep rambling on, you never get to the end.
But yeah, at the same time, give yourself a little bit of room to kind of be creative. You know, it's kind of what makes this stuff good. So, you know, that would be my suggestion personally. Right, so first draft. Right, actually writing the first draft. This is going to be the difficult part. It really is.
Okay, read a thesaurus about 10 times before you do it, because otherwise every third word is going to be da. That's not an exaggeration. Every time I'm about to sit down and start writing a new book, I look at the English language among the area of what I'm going to be writing. So I have some adjectives and verbs in my head that aren't just... I don't know. What's a good example of a really simple adjective?
Baloo.
There we go. But that you went for a really difficult one to make more complicated.
Pretty.
Pretty. Okay.
Nice. Nice is the
nice.
evil word. Nice is
okay, you can build on nice with pretty. Pretty works better
Pretty
than
nice.
nice. But not pretty nice. Don't use the word nice. No, just pretty.
Sorry.
But beautiful, gorgeous. Those are very simple examples, but there are plenty of words that, I don't know, just make you sound a little less like a 10th grader.
Fair enough. Actually, I haven't done that myself, but I'm going to give it a go now, because, yeah, I'm guilty of nice syndrome occasionally.
Occasionally.
Says my editor.
Yep.
Right. In terms of actually putting words on page, personally, I would recommend for you giving yourself a word goal each day. Now, I know people have jobs, people have kids, they have family, they have commitments.
Let's both give a suggestion, because we write in different ways.
That's a good point. Okay, right. So, personally, I like to set myself a deadline. So, like, I want to get this book done in, say, 2 months. And then basically,
How short a book are you writing?
Huh?
How short a book are you writing?
It was 100,000. That's not bad for 2 months.
Yeah, I forget you write like faster than every
anyway,
day.
shush. But my point is, work out how many words a day you'd have to write to hit that deadline, and then if that sounds like a number you can write, then good. If it sounds like a number that you probably won't